Morning Glory with Mary Upton and friends.
Come on, get up, get out, and get moving. Come on, get up, get out, and let's do it. Come on, get up, get out, and start grooving. Juggling around to the sound of music.
Okay, welcome to 96 FM for those who are listening on the radio, and for those of you that are viewing, welcome to MGTV. And our special guest today, we've got all the way from Immigration, Assistant Information Officer at Immigration. It's Barry Kenyon. Come on, let's hear it. Hooray! It's nice to have you with us, Barry. You've been a very popular character over the years in Pattaya, and well, just tell us a little bit about the job you used to do, and that was the to do with being an honorary consul, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I was the British Honorary Consul for better part of 15 years in Pattaya before I retired last year to make way for the very able Howard Miller. And I suppose the difference is that with the British Embassy you only have to worry about the failings and problems of one nationality. In the immigration we have 182 nationalities.
Yeah. What brought you to Pattaya in the first place?
Like a lot of people here, I think it was accidental to a degree. I was on my way to Vietnam to run a language school in Hanoi, and while I was here waiting for the plane, the place burned down. I got rather fond of Pattaya, so I decided to blow it, and I started new life here. Yeah. Did all sorts of bits and pieces, started a bridge club, freelance journalism, the embassy, volunteer police, lots of things.
Now, I understand down at Immigration they've got a thing called the 3 S's. Now, what does that stand for?
The 3 S's are the national policy of the Immigration Bureau, which it is the responsibility of the local Colonel Chusak in Jomtien to implement for the Chonburi province. The 3 S's stand for security. That is to keep Thailand clear, insofar as that's possible, of naughty foreigners, which is the responsibility of the Transnational Crimes Bureau, which is upstairs in the immigration at Jomtien, and has arrested about 150 undesirables in the past year or so, which is quite a number. And these are big criminals, not visa overstayers and people who get drunk in a bar. We're speaking about much more serious stuff, you know, drug traffickers. Money launderers, pedophiles, that kind of thing. The second S stands for standards, trying to ensure that the quality of the service in the immigration is as high as possible and roughly analogous between offices. One of the difficulties with immigration is there is a degree of independence invested in individual offices, such as if you apply for a retirement permit in Phuket, it might be a bit different in detail than applying here. I think that's inevitable in a delegated system such as immigration is, but it's not on a big scale anymore. No. And the third of the 3 S's is service mind, and it's here I think that many of your listeners and viewers will know that there have been determined attempts to improve the service at immigration in terms of the end user, the public. So we no longer keep you waiting in the rain at 8 o'clock. You can come in. We have a special line for handicapped and disabled people. Those who need help filling in the forms, we have a lot more assistance available at the desk. And we even have fish in various fish tanks, which I understand make sure you don't lose your temper when you're under pressure. Yeah,
well, check their visas, don't forget. You're the first person that people see when they walk in through the door. Just explain exactly what it is that you're actually doing.
Well, firstly, I should say I'm only part-time, so I'm not there all the time. They may not see me when they walk in through the door. But I tend to be there at busy periods because there's sufficient staff at quiet periods. Yeah. My job and that of other officers who are at the information desk is to firstly greet people, ascertain what their business is. In many cases, just hand them a form or give them a computerized number. But perhaps 30 or 40% need some sort of a conversation. They've never been before, or they don't know what to do, or they think they have a problem, or they think they might end up in jail, or the grandmother's just died, and so on. And we try with a variety of languages to assist them. I myself can manage Pidgin French, and we have other people around who can manage, if a conversation is needed, most of the modern European and Asian languages.
Yeah. Now, I know that we've all experienced times where we've been down there and seen, let's just say, some undesirable behaviour. as you go in. What's the most common thing that you see that you would like to stamp out?
I think the smoking is now unacceptable behaviour, and even just outside the immigration there are notices. So I think smokers have to keep well clear of anywhere near the entrance, let alone inside. Dressing inappropriately is a big problem. There are still people who think that they're in a nightclub and they come in with a bikini or swimming trunks on and promptly get sent out again. You should have your arms covered if you're going to have a photograph taken in one of the neighbouring offices. And worst of all, I think, is to lose your temper.
Yeah.
There is a small minority of people who get very angry. You can understand this. The rules can be complex to beginners. Sometimes there are language problems in understanding, and some people have a bad on in the morning anyway. But it is a very bad idea to become at all angry when you're dealing with immigration, or a good many other Thai offices come to that. It achieves nothing.
So you should just show a little bit more respect, I suppose.
I think so.
Yeah.
Show a little respect. Doesn't need to be a lot.
No.
Just don't lose your rag.
Okay.
The best start on a new day.
Welcome back to MGTV Morning Glory here on 96 FM, and our special guest today is Mr. Barry Kenyon, who is an assistant down there at immigration, and he's got some actual information that could be very interesting for those of you with retirement visas, and some not really big rule changes, are they, but just slight changes in the way that you give in your documents.
That's right. Some people who are on one-year visas have to report their address every 90 days if they're in Thailand under what's called the 90-day rule. And traditionally, these one-year visa holders reporting 90 days have only needed to take their passport and fill in a simple form, the TM47. But effective about 2 weeks ago, the immigration are now requiring that you copy your passport, that is the ID page and the white card which you find inside, and the visa, and additionally bring proof of address such as a water bill, an electric bill, a rent agreement, an insurance document, a SOP on cable bill, something like that. People say, well, why is all this necessary? They're always changing the rules and so on. It's necessary because when people fill in the form, unfortunately, their handwriting is often illegible. So it's not possible for the data input processors at the immigration to transfer the information you have written down onto the computerized database. And so it's been necessary in this and other offices to ask people, please, to copy the passport. Then there's no argument about what the number is of the passport, and also bring a document in Thai so that the proper address, including the MU and the house number and all that, can be accurately recorded as is required through immigration law. So we're asking people to do that. At the moment, they're being understanding, the officers responsible, but it will get tighter. So the more we can encourage people to bring with them their passport and copy it and bring proof of address when they're reporting 90 days, fine. Finally on that, don't forget that you can report your 90 days early, up to 2 weeks before the 90 days expires, or indeed a week after the 90 days expires.
It doesn't have to be exactly on the actual date it expires.
Because it's not a visa. The 90 days is simply a police reporting requirement, and you can do it flexibly within a 3-week window, 2 weeks before, 1 week after. That might help some people to avoid queuing up so long on a Monday and Friday, if they remember that.
And then what about the 80,000 baht rule? Because I understand now you don't have to produce a bank account.
Ah, it'd be wonderful, Barry, if it was 80,000. I think you mean 800,000.
Sorry, 800,000, sorry.
Yeah, the most popular one-year visa, though it's by no means the only one, is what we call the retirement visa. And if you now can get your embassy or consulate to confirm that your income from your home country is at least 800,000 baht a year in your own currency, then you no longer need a letter from the bank to show a bank account, produce a bank book or anything. So if the income is high and that is confirmed by your embassy, you can forget about the bank account. But of course, if the income is lower than 800,000 a year, you still need a bank book and a letter from the bank to make up the difference. Or then again, other people don't bother with their embassy, they just have 800,000 plus in a Thai bank account. That's okay also, but get a letter from the bank. And don't forget, you can now have foreign currency accounts. Needn't be in baht, can be in pounds, euros, dollars, and so on. So the whole thing has become more flexible.
Yeah. So, thanks very much for those information. Can we invite you down here again and give us updates whenever there is any updates?
Yes, you're doing us a favour really at the immigration in allowing us to publicise the rule changes.
Fantastic. Great working together with you, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. That's Mr. Barry Kenyon. Come on, everybody. Thank you.
It's all about waking up to a brand new day with Morning Glory.
Okay, here on 96 FM and MGTV, we're very happy to welcome Barry Kenyon once again, and really happy because a lot of people have come up to you and commented how really useful this information is, and sometimes, we just have a little chat about it, but you don't realise how much people actually depend on this information.
Well, that's nice to know indeed.
Well, let's put your microphone up, that's always helping because they can hear what you say then.
Nice to know indeed, Barry.
Yeah. Now the floods, has that affected immigration at all?
Well, potentially, of course, the flooding could have affected the immigration a great deal, but in practice, I don't think it's going to. Not to be old Mother Shipton and predict the future, but if the flooding has more or less reached its worst point, it may not be necessary to introduce emergency measures, such as happened when the Yellow Shirts took over the airport in 2008, you recall, such as permitting people to overstay without penalty, or allowing photocopies of documents where the originals were needed. I think all that will not happen, and we'll have to monitor it on a daily basis to make sure the flooding doesn't advance further. But you'll be the first to know if there are any changes.
Great. Because, some people might try and use it as an excuse or something for their overstaying or something, and they're not going to get away with it, no?
No, they're not going to get away with it. Sorry about that. So some embassies, of course, in Bangkok are in the path of the flood, potentially, and some are not. It's just worth mentioning, I think, for the Brits who have a consulate here in Pattaya, along with some other countries, that the British embassy has had some staff problems recently, and until the new year will only be open on Thursday mornings 9:30 to 12:30 with the same day turnaround service for people who are requesting services.
Right. Whereabouts is exactly the British embassy?
Well, it's virtually next door to the Immigration Bureau in Jomtien Soi 5. It's just a little further up the street.
Yeah.
And don't go when there's a rainstorm because it's one of the first places to be underwater.
I've been down there before, and yes, it does get a little bit wet down there, doesn't it? So just to reiterate certain things about when people go down to immigration. I know this is, if anybody's heard this before, they're going to think, why are they saying it all again? It's because people still turn up in the wrong sort of clothes, the wrong manner, do they?
Yeah, I think since you started to publicise it, Barry, if I might say so, the problem has diminished. But it isn't good to turn up in your bikini or your bathing suit, and you may well be asked to dress properly.
Yeah.
You should really have your arms covered. It is a government building when all's said and done.
Yeah.
It's open in office hours. It's not open at night, so there isn't the excuse that you've been going around the bars and you've all sicked down your trousers, as happens in the ordinary police station.
Right.
So you present yourself in a dignified way.
Yeah.
If you can't speak English or Thai, we can usually find someone that speaks your language. We have numbers on our mobile phones. But if not, you just have to be polite and patient. On the other hand, if they didn't speak English, they wouldn't be listening to this programme, would they?
There you go. Well, probably not. I don't know. A lot of Thai people do listen to it. They like the music.
Absolutely.
And I found out yesterday that there's so many Thai people watch Pattaya People as well, because they all recognise us.
Sure, they all recognise the faces, particularly yours, I think so.
So yes, also don't turn up drunk and don't be abusive and stuff, because I'm sure you still get a bit of that, don't you?
We do get it, but it is on a declining schedule for whatever reason. It's usually that people have misunderstood their visa and think that the little slip of paper that asks you to report your address every 90 days is a visa, which it isn't.
Yeah.
Or that there's been some other
cock up at the airport and the stamps blurred and that sort of thing. So whatever it is, even if it's a mistake at the airport and they've given you the wrong visa, the thing is not to panic, but just to come into our office if you're in Pattaya in a calm way and a placid way, and it'll always be sorted out. But it's like everything else in life. If you go in full of venom and hiss, you're likely to get a venom and hiss reply. It's just human nature.
I think the big message is you're not the enemy, you're there to help.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
Okay, right, we're going to talk more some more to Barry in a short while, and we'll be talking about pensions and retirement visas. That's it.
The eternal subject.